Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about Egypt and the opportunities that we can invest in this country. First, I want to talk about the general information about the country itself. The official language of the country is the modern Arabic, and it's language that is spoken by 25 different countries around the world. The population of Egypt is over 105 million people, and it's considered to be the most populated Arab country in the region. The president of Egypt is Abdel Fattah Sisi. He became the president in 2014, and he is the sixth president of Egypt. He's also the supreme commander of the armed forces. The currency in Egypt is the Egyptian pound. Speaking of religion, 90% population are identified as Muslims, mostly follow the Sunni denomination, and the remaining 10% are from the Christianity, with 9% followed Coptic Orthodox and one remaining percentage follow other Christian denomination. The countries that have actual borders with Egypt are Libya from the west, Sudan from the south, Israel and Gaza Stripes, which is Palestine, from the northeast. The GPD per capita as of 2020 for Egypt is $3,547. The geography of Egypt can be divided into two main parts, as Egypt is located in the north of Africa, while the Egyptian Sinai Peninsula, which is colored in the orange in the picture, is located in the southwest of Asia. And between these two parts is the Suez Canal, which you are probably familiar with when the incident of the stuck ship happened. So it's a very strategic location for Egypt to have a peninsula from the continent Asia as part of the country and thus control the entire Suez Canal. Also, the longest river in the world, which is the Nile River, passes by Egypt, which flows into the Mediterranean Sea, forming multiple branches and thus forming the Delta River, which starts from the city Cairo, the capital city, to the Mediterranean Sea, and there alongside the river and the Delta River, it's the where it's mostly populated.
Talking about Egypt's economy, Egypt ranked 120th in the world on the so-called Human Development Index, with the high rates of unemployment and poverty. Poverty is a big problem in Egypt, especially in rural areas. About half of the population lives below the poverty line, which is 35 million, and 6 million are in complete poverty. Unemployment, according to official data, is 8 to 10%. One of the most developed sectors of the economy is foreign tourism, which annually brings 10% of GDP. Since 1996, the number of foreign tourists visiting Egypt every year has doubled and reached 8 million. The manufacturing sector accounts for about one third of GDP annually. It includes producing textiles, chemicals, metals, and light industrial products. Egypt is also a big oil exporter and a member of the organization of OPEC. The oil industry provides up to 40% of Egypt's export earnings. Their main export partners are US, Italy, Syria, and Spain. Egypt's new investment law was officially published in 2017. The main objectives of it is increasing the national economic growth rate, enhancing unemployment opportunities, promoting exports, and boosting competitiveness. The investment law introduces a new tax reduction system for investment in certain sectors. It became easier to start businesses. It was done by giving investors multiple options to process their paperwork for registration and licensing approvals. Recent administrative reform simplifies investment procedures for investors and significantly reduces the time needed for issuing investment licenses, procuring land, and obtaining utility services. The investment law implemented a competitive landscape by enhancing competitiveness, avoiding monopolization, promoting governance and transparency, and most importantly, setting clear timelines for approval processes. Egypt's investment law is a revolutionary step towards cutting red tape and reducing bureaucracy.
Starting business in Egypt takes about 9 steps. The first step is a trade name clearance, and here you will find out if the name you want to use for a company is already in use or not. The second step is a certificate from the bank. This will be received from the General Authority for Free Trade and Investment. The third one is an article of association that will be checked by a lawyer, and in the next step, it will be re-examined by a public notary. In step 5, you will be obtaining a Chamber of Commerce certificate, and step 6 will be having notification of incorporation. In step 5, you will have officially your company with a commercial registry certificate. In step 8, you have to register for taxes, and after you have to register for your employees, so your employees have a social insurance. The cost together is a minimum of 823 Egyptian pounds, which is about $52, and a maximum cost of 7,930 Egyptian pounds, which is about $502. The time it takes to set up a business varies between 9 and 18 days, depends on how quick you submit your documents and how quick you acquire them.
When you want to invest in Egypt, you can choose out of 3 types of investments. There is free zones, investment zones, and inland investment. For free zones, there are special authorities and taxations and some special laws. The most export that is done in this zone are not always legal on the normal market. Investment zones have strict conditions and are very interesting for families with a lower income because they can benefit of a tax cut. It is also interesting for international investors. Inland investments are investments that are not on a stock exchange. They have some special rules for international investors, like giving them a residence in Egypt.
The pie chart is showing the employment distribution over the different sectors, with agriculture having 21% of all workforce in Egypt. This doesn't mean that agriculture is your best option though. Unfortunately, Egypt still has child labor problem. Children as young as 14 are forced to work due to poverty, but the Egyptian government is working on it in their 2030 vision. Even though Egypt has high unemployment rates, foreign investors or employees that speaks English have a lot of opportunities because Egypt is still lacking a lot of skilled employment.
The corporate tax in Egypt is around 22.5%, and the tax they pay on the dividends to their shareholders is around 10%. The personal tax in Egypt is the same way as in Belgium. The more you earn, the more tax you have to pay. The VAT in Egypt is around 14%. They don't have to pay taxes on medical supplies and basic human rights. They also have stamp duty taxes. These are taxes paid on contracts that have to be signed, and land tax. Land tax can change according to the value of your property.
We've picked out 3 sectors for you to invest in. Our first choice for you is tourism. A lot of mega projects are being constructed right now to build a modern city and transfer Egypt to a whole new era in its history. The second place comes the transportation sector. One of the reasons to build the new capital is to improve the life standards for people living in the countryside. This will cause a lot of people to move products and services on a wider scale throughout Egypt. That's why transportation will always be expanding, and now is the best chance to jump in. And the third sector is renewable energy. People nowadays are more conscious about the environment, and Egypt has already started taking actions to start producing green and sustainable energy, which is clearly stated in their 2030 vision. Egypt's desert is the best place to start building solar plants, for example, while on the coast there is a possibility for wind turbines, because along the coastal areas on the Red Sea lies the best place for fine wind.
Now I want to assess the cultural aspect of Egypt. We did that by looking at the hospital dimensions. I'm not going to discuss all of them, but only a few ones that we think are the most important. The first one is individualism. As you can see, it is very low. So that means that people find groups more important. So their close family, their extended family, friends, and their business relationships. It's more like a we strategy compared to Belgium that is an I strategy. Second one is masculinity. It's low, so that means we call Egypt a feminine society. This means that equality, solidarity, and quality of working life is very important in the society. The third one is long-term orientation. Because this is also very low compared to Belgium. So they think more about their short term. They want quick results. That's what we call a normative society. They have great respect for traditions and they don't save anything for the future. So they really live in the day itself. The last dimension I want to talk about is indulgence. This is low, so that means that we call it a restrained country. They think more about the we than the I, as you can already see in the individualism. So feeling like indulging yourself is kind of wrong. So they don't spend a lot of time on leisure and on gratifying desires compared to Belgium.
It's important to know that the business etiquette in Egypt before doing business there, because this might make the difference in scoring or losing partnership. Before going to the meeting, you should at least dress casual business because people will treat you based on how you dress. And if you want to show that you are serious, it is definitely recommended. If you are meeting the CEO or high senior executive, address them with the right title. And when they offer coffee or tea, it's better to accept it, as it shows respect. Don't start talking about business right away, no. You have to make small talks about their family, health, and so on. This step is important for both parties because Egyptian people love to do business with people they know and trust, and your chance of giving a good impression is during this small talk. Don't be surprised if the meeting took longer than planned. It's normal and they do it often.
The last point I want to present today is Egypt Vision for 2030. This vision is based on the United Nations SDGs, the Sustainable Development Strategies for Africa for 2063. This is based on 8 goals. The first one is quality of life, which means that they want to improve the standard of living. They want to eliminate poverty rate. It has already been declining for the past 20 years. The second one is equity and inclusion, where they mean that they want to have equity for all the inhabitants, and they want no discrimination anymore. The third one is strong economy. So they want to transform Egypt's economy towards a knowledge-based digital economy with encouraging innovation, research, and development. After this, we also have knowledge and innovation, which means that they want to invest in human capital and they want to improve their educational services which have already been changing for the past few years. The fifth goal is sustainable environment. Considering the rapid climate change, they have to strengthen their resilience and ability to face natural hazards, as one of their biggest geographical parts is the Nile, so a lot of water. After this, we also have the government's goal, which they want to make an institutional framework that will help accomplish transparency, accountability, and they want to protect everyone against corruption. After this, we also have peace and security. So they want to assure the security of food, water, and they want to make sure that their borders are safe while fighting the terrorism and the organized crime inside the country. The last goal is a leading stature. Here they want to expand their regional and international diplomatic presence. This goal they also share with the Sustainable Development for Africa for 2063. I want to thank you for listening to our presentations. This was everything we had about Egypt. I hope you had a lot of information that you didn't know yet.